Howdy partners, it's JC here. How are you doing? I'm in my kitchen and I'm going to show you how to make a hair oil that's like a melanin oil that will get rid of these suckers, grey hair. It should also help with hair loss as well. So I'm kind of gonna wing it. This is based on a recipe, an Ayurvedic recipe, and I'm gonna add some extra stuff because that's just how I am. I just do stuff of my own creation. So I'm going to show you some of the ingredients that we've got. First of all, a lot of Indians will have an iron cooking vessel or a This is apparently iron. I know people say it looks like stainless steel, but I'm going to trust the Ayurvedic place that I bought this from, this grocer, Indian online store, and they're saying this is iron. Usually they will mix things to darken products like hair dye, etc. in iron, or they'll cook things up so that it has some kind of a chemical reaction with the iron. So I'm going to take a leaf out of their book. Sorry about the glare. And there's some ingredients that you'll recognize, and there's some ingredients you won't recognize. So one of the main ingredients, we're going to make a hair oil, is coconut oil. Yes, I do have coconut oil in the kitchen already, but I thought I'd buy just a whole amount, which is 250 mils for this recipe. But here comes JC's brainwave. I'm going to add castor oil to the mix. Castor oil is brilliant for hair growth. It will help helps your scalp. It does so many things. It helps make the hair speed up growth, etc., etc. Very good, nourishing for the hair. So I'm going to add a bit of that in there. Another main ingredient, because we're essentially making a melanin oil. So one ingredient is black sesame seeds. I don't think these are Nigella seeds or kalonji, whatever you want to call them. I think it's actually black sesame seeds. I know sometimes they call kalonji or Nigella seeds black cumin seeds or black seed, as in black seed oil. I don't think that this is it. But apparently black sesame seeds contain a lot of melanin in them. And what we're trying to do, I'm going to try and cut this so that I can actually open it. What we're trying to do is create a melanin oil. We're trying to get the melanin to penetrate the hair follicles. So I'm going to try this. Let me pause for a second. Okay, I've just tasted them. They are sesame seeds. They're not Nigella seeds, okay? So Nigella seeds are I think Nigella seeds are like little onion seeds or something. They're little black seeds. You might see them on Japanese cooking. You might see them on Turkish bread. These are actually black sesame seeds, not black cumin seeds, okay? So we're going to use that in the oil. We're going to use hibiscus flowers, hibiscus powder. This can all be bought from online Ayurvedic supplies or Indian supplies. Just look up these ingredients and you'll probably find a place that sells Ayurvedic remedies near you online in your country, and they will deliver this stuff to you. So I'm using all organic stuff. This is organic hibiscus powder. Apparently another ingredient that contains a lot of melanin, and it's very good for your hair. On the back it says it prevents premature graying, strengthens hair from root to tip, prevents hair loss and rejuvenates scalp. So listen up, guys and girls. If you're losing hair, even if you're not graying prematurely, I think you should make this oil, and I think it will work with whatever you got going on. I've got amla powder. Now, if you've ever done henna, you've put henna in your hair, or you're familiar with any Indian hair products, amla is a gooseberry. It's a type of fruit, and they dry it out. Tastes gross. I mean, the fresh fruit might taste great. Very good for you though. Very high potency vitamin C. Usually when we add amla to hair products, or when we add them to henna, it will give a brown tone to the henna instead of orange, but it also does other things as well. So listen to this. It says amla, also known as Indian gooseberry, is the fruit of a small deciduous tree native to India. In Hinduism, the amla tree is considered sacred to the goddess Lakshmi. A much beloved staple of traditional Ayurvedic medicine, amla is considered a cooling pitta herb. So this makes sense, because if you've got, I've just spilled my sesame seeds. Great, JC. If you've got grey and you're fairly young and there's grey coming through, you've got too much pitta inside. You'll have too much pitta. Okay, so the pitta is a fiery sort of energy. Pitta constitutions are usually very slim and slender, but the pitta is, I think, pitta is too much coffee, too much tea, too much stress, too much chili, like hot foods and spicy foods. This is all me, right? And that heat, this will aid the heat. Okay, so it makes sense that the pitta resolves this amla resolves the greying of the hair. It's interesting how all of this sort of fits together. So I've just got sesame seeds all over the bench. So the other ingredient that is important is an ingredient that most Western people will not know about. This is the first time I've heard of it. Baringaraj. Baringaraj or Baringaraja. In Latin, it's Eclipta alba. I don't know what sort of plant this is, but it is well known for an Ayurvedic herb for hair loss, premature graying, skin allergies, and devitalized skin and hair, and for devitalized skin and hair. It is rejuvenative for pitta constitution and also for the liver. Okay, so you can take it internally, but it's good for hair things. And there's a lot of, you can actually just buy Baringaraj oil. I have one. It's got Baringaraj. So I bought the oil and I started using it, but still it hasn't done anything, obviously. So another ingredient I'm adding that is not in this original recipe is methi or fenugreek. Fenugreek is often in your curry blends. So it says here, a traditional Ayurvedic boon for skin and hair. So it's high in vitamin C, renews dead skin. So this would be good for your scalp. Moisturizes the skin. It's got very high in potassium, hydrates skin and lustrous hair. It has magnesium in it for glowing skin that's youthful and healthy. I guess my scalp's going to look great. So methi is good for dry and flaky scalp. So here we go again. This is anything to do with scalp and hair. These ingredients you're gonna look great, I tell you. Let's see if it says anything. It's a great natural anti-aging remedy. I know methi or fenugreek is good for people with diabetes. So taking it internally is good for diabetes, except your sweat will stink a little bit. And it's good for breast milk. Hey, if you're breastfeeding, take some fenugreek. It will boost your breast milk. I do know that. So it's good for moisturizing and has antifungal properties. So if you do have any flaky scalp thing going on, when you start using this oil, it will help. So I'm going to start making this, and then it won't be ready today. But when it is ready, I'm going to dispense it in a beautiful glass jar that I have here after I strain it. And I will show you how I make it. So I'm going to try. This could be a disaster, or it could be the best thing you've ever seen in your life. Okay. All right. So first things first, scoop up all the spilled sesame seeds. And put them back into the container. So the next thing you're going to do is put your pot onto a heat. I'm only going to put it on a fairly low heat. I'm going to pour in, I've just melted this, 250 mils of coconut oil. And try and get all of that out if you can. And obviously this one doesn't have handles, so I'm going to use just a cloth to hold it. Just a cloth, you know, if I'm going to hold the edges while I'm stirring. But for now I'm just going to put the coconut oil in, and then I'm going to pour in about, I'm going to do this recipe 1.5 times the original recipe by adding 125 mils of castor oil to this mix. Okay, so I'm going to add this castor oil. I know it says organic cold pressed. It doesn't matter, we're not eating it, we're putting it on our head. So I'm going to add about 125, which is almost all of this bottle. It doesn't matter if it's a little bit over. There we go. That should be about 125 right there. This is 200 mils, so I'm assuming that's the right amount. It doesn't matter exactly, really. The oil is a carrier for the herbs, and it's going to disperse the benefits of the herbs throughout the hair follicle and along the scalp. So some of you might be asking, why am I doing this? Why am I putting things like this on my channel? This goes back to being self-sufficient. This goes back to being sovereign, to returning to things that are natural, instead of buying pharmaceuticals all the time, instead of just, you know, sucking it up and having to take chemicals to fix the things or use chemical dyes. I've sort of made a decision not to do that anymore to my hair or my body. I'm trying to take all these wonderful things like the Life Force Elixir and supplements, and I'm trying to cleanse my body, and I'm taking Shilajit and all these sorts of things. Why would I continue to put chemicals, really dreadful chemicals, in my body? And if you want to know, I am using more natural cosmetics, so don't say anything. So I am a Renaissance woman, and I sort of know a bit about everything, and that's kind of why I'm also sharing it with you. I think that this is not just about intel, it's not just about psychic predictions, it's about a whole entire way of living, a holistic way of living. And I think that everybody, when you have these sorts of things under your belt and you know these things and how to make stuff, you feel confident and you feel very strong, and nothing can take you down. You know, you're able to take charge of your life and your health and even your looks, and do things your own way. So I'm going to continue to show you how to make this. Okay, rightio. So I've got here, look at this beautiful colour, gorgeous red-brown colour of the hibiscus. So that's 6 tablespoons. I will share the original recipe in a video link below, but I've made the quantity 1.5 times the original recipe. So 6 tablespoons of hibiscus powder. I've put in about 1.5, almost 2 tablespoons of bringaraj, 1 tablespoon of amla, and 1 tablespoon of very smelly fenugreek or methi powder. That's going to go straight into my little pot of oil, but I won't do that on camera because I have to stir with 2 hands. So I'll pour it in, and then I'll show you me stirring this on a low heat. Okay, all right, this should hopefully not be a disaster. So I'm just going to stir this in gently and allow it to cook. Will not cook too high, but we want to stir this for about 2 or 3 minutes until it's blended through. You can see there's quite a bit of powder in there, and we just want to get all those lumps out and allow the melanin from these plant products to penetrate the oil, which is what we're going to be applying to our hair. Once this concoction is all finished, you will use this oil about 3 times a week before bed, and you just sleep. I could feel this is getting gelatinous already. So the hibiscus tends to get a bit gelatinous. If it gets too thick, I'm sorry about it spinning around, it doesn't have a handle that I can hold. So don't use Teflon pans, non-stick pans. Try and use stainless steel, or I guess if you don't mind your ceramic coated pans to get stained in any way, you could use them. But iron is best, and you more than likely will be able to get an iron vessel from an Indian grocer if you could just ask them for an iron pot. So I'm just going to mix this in before I add. Look at the gorgeous colour. I'm just going to add, before I add the black sesame seeds. So I'm just going to allow this to cook for about 2 or 3 minutes before I add. There's a big lump on the spoon that I'm going to mix in when I turn off my camera. I'll add the black sesame seeds, which are waiting. Look at this wine coloured gorgeousness. That's the hibiscus. Right, so look at this gorgeous colour. It's quite viscous. It's quite, it's sort of gelled up, you can see. And I've just got it on a low heat. This has been going for about 5 minutes. I'm going to now add to this the black sesame seeds. So put the black sesame seeds in, and then you're going to simmer this on a low heat, a low flame, for about 8 to 10 minutes. Once the 8 to 10 minutes is done, you will leave it to cool for 3 days. It will just sit and cool, allow it to steep. If it's very cold in your country and it solidifies, you will have to warm it up a little bit just to strain it. Obviously I won't be showing you me straining it today. Hopefully I will be able to show you that in a few days time once I get it going. But the melanin in the black seed and the hibiscus combined will do some amazing things, and then the properties of the other herbs or the spices that I've added and the oils are going to combine to make this a wonderful hair tonic. I am not sure if blonde people can use this. I guess if you don't have dyed blonde hair, you might want to try it. It's a melanin oil, so I'm not thinking it's dyeing your hair black. It's returning the natural color to the follicle, right? So I guess you could use it. It may darken your dyed hair, so just be aware if you've got peroxide or anything like that, a coloring in your hair. But it's natural, it's an oil. It doesn't have henna in it. You could add henna to it, as in the neutral henna, just for the properties. I do have another blend of herbs and oil, henna for a hair mask that I might be using every now and then. And I just, I guess you can use, let me explain something to you. Actually, let me turn the camera around and I'll talk to you a bit better when you're looking at my face. So just like doctors and dentists, hairdressers have been taught a particular thing about natural hair dye, as in herbs like henna and indigo. They have been trained to tell you that it's dangerous and that it's not good for your hair, because unfortunately, and unbeknownst to them, they've been taught to push pharmaceutical products, I guess you could call it, or chemical products. So of course the industry wants to maintain its importance for people in their hair colouring pursuits, and so it's going to poo-poo natural hair dyes, okay? If a hairstylist knows anything about the truth of what henna and what other herbs such as amla and indigo can do for your hair, it would revolutionize hair coloring. Unfortunately, it's not as precise as a chemical concoction is in terms of the shades that you will get It is not as convenient as a chemical hair dye. But henna actually makes your hair thicker, stronger. It prevents hair lice. It does all sorts of amazing things. It strengthens your hair. It prevents split ends. It prevents hair loss. It is an amazing, brilliant herb to use. And if you know the techniques involved to get the various shades, and if you're willing to do this and you have time on your hands, then I would go to a website called hennaforhair.com, and you will see the testimonials and all the different shades of gorgeous hair that, colors that people have come through with the henna. You could, if you're a blonde, you could even use henna without getting a red tone. You could use a neutral henna and add chamomile and lemon and things like that to enhance your natural blonde hair. If you are a brunette, you could add coffee, you could add various other ingredients to get a more brown tone, and you can experiment with all of these. If you want to get blue tones, you can add indigo. So you'll dye your hair first with henna, and then, or if you want black, you dye your hair first with henna to coat the shaft, and then add indigo, or you can combine the two and get like a brown tone. So there's so many ways to get different colors with henna and indigo and other products as well. So all of this is just a natural way. Honestly, I'm starting to realize that Ayurveda and the Vedic traditions, these are ancient traditions that more than likely are linked to cultures such as Tartaria. These are the more accurate ways of doing medicine. It's the more accurate ways of doing architecture. The astrology is more accurate. There's so much wonderful information that comes from these traditions, and I think if we delve deep into these things, we could find a lot of secrets for our own health and our well-being and our beauty and all of that. I mean, this is just gorgeous. So if you want to have a look at the color, it smells wonderful. I was actually surprised. I really thought it was going to stink like a big curry. There is a recipe for melanin oil where they use curry leaves. That's interesting. I personally wouldn't want to smell like curry leaves, but this is a beautiful smell. It must be the hibiscus. It's just got a really earthy, like a sweet caramel sort of smell to it, and it's actually quite lovely. It's not too bad, I'll have to say. It could be the gooseberry as well, the amla. But this will go for another 5 minutes, and then I'm going to allow it to cool. And then once it's cooled, in 3 days' time, I will strain this gorgeous concoction, this wine-coloured, gorgeous, I'm starting to sound like Nigella Lawson. Gorgeous colour. It's beautiful. But the melanin will come out into the oil, and it will turn into a black, beautiful unctuous oil that you can put on your scalp and your grays and just massage it in. Your hair will look amazing, and then you wash it off in the morning. This will last about 6 months. Hopefully you'll use it all up before the 6 months. If you want to maintain your no grays, then you would look at your lifestyle as well as using this, and you would try to reduce things that give you too much bitter inside. Okay, so there you go. Look at that color. That's just like a well, it either looks like jam or like a boysenberry or raspberry jam or something pretty gross, but it's actually quite lovely. You could probably eat this. This is just, well, actually you wouldn't, because it's got castor oil in it, and you would probably have to do a big poo after that. But this will go, I will turn this off in a little while, and then once it turns off, see, it's not bubbling too much. Don't cover it at all. Do not cover it. If you cover it, you will get water droplets when it cools down, and it will go into the oil, and oil and water don't mix. So you really want this to just sit in the pan. I haven't had any trouble. It doesn't feel that hot. I can actually hold this. This is not too hot. I've got asbestos hands, but it's actually not too hot. It is very warm, but it's not boiling hot. I'm not going to burn myself. So it really is just a low heat that you've got this at to infuse the oil with the properties of the herbs that are inside it. Okay, so this is the next day, and you see how it's thickened, but that's okay, because don't forget we've got, I mean, it's pretty cold here even though it's summer. We've got coconut oil and castor oil, which are both very thick oils, and we've also got, you know, the hibiscus powder, which is quite gelatinous. So when I do strain this, I will heat it up so that it's more liquid, and then I will strain it. And if, you know what, if it doesn't strain, I might have to, or if it's too thick, I might add a little bit more oil. I think I have that leeway in this because I did add extra ingredients. So I've warmed the oil through and strained it into a jug, and then I'm going to pour it into a glass jar. If I had a smaller sieve, or if I had a wider rim, I would have done it directly into the glass jar. But as you can see, what's left behind after several days of steeping is the sesame seeds and some of the other grit, etc. And you're left with this molasses coloured, Dr. Pepper cherry coke kind of coloured oil. And that's the melanin oil that we're going to use in our hair. So now I have, after 3 days, this gorgeous looking oil. That's warmed through just slightly, just enough so that it could loosen the coconut oil that had solidified and the castor oil. And I sieved it, as you could see, and then I poured it into this glass vessel. This will keep for 6 months, as long as you don't get water in it to cause any problems with the oil. But you just pour out a little. If it solidifies in your climate, just warm the bottle in some warm water and some hot water to loosen some of the oil, and then put the amount you need onto your scalp. And then what you'll do is scrub it into your scalp. I would leave it on overnight. It's really for your scalp, not for the ends of your hair. I mean, you could put it on the ends of your hair, but really you're working at a follicle level, because it's melanin oil. And apparently within 3 to 4 weeks, you'll see tremendous changes in the greys in your hair. Hopefully this works for me. You should do it 3 times a week at least. I don't wash my hair 3 times a week, so doing this means I have to wash my hair 3 times a week. So leave it on overnight, I would say. Put a towel down and just sleep with your hair with the oil in, like a treatment, and then wash it off in the morning. And hopefully this will start to reverse the greying of your hair, as well as getting rid of dandruff, preventing hair loss, and doing all sorts of wonderful things to the actual texture and structure of your hair. Bye! I hope this helped.